So we have invited those extra 4 clubs to come up to 16 teams. They accepted, and we will have 16 teams in this football season.
Chairperson of Black Africa Sport Club, Dimbulukeni Nauyoma, confirmed to Sport on One that the letter was indeed drafted to the Namibia Football Association.
We had engagements, fruitful in the sense that we were able to engage. And then I had submitted a letter to the General Secretary to speak on issues that would determine our readiness. Particularly, people are looking at funding. Of course, funding is the biggest crisis that football has ever faced over the years. And you realize that many, I think at some point, there was a shortage of about, I think, 9 million, for football to start. And it was a back and forth until football eventually stopped. And we're looking at, from that historic background to what we have currently, into the type of mode that we want to play as well. And how do we best assess those football and the readiness of football? Well, that letter also speaks to constitutional matters that guides to the rules and regulations of the NFA. It speaks to the statutes of the NFA. There are specific statutory bodies that need to be in place before we can even put the ball on the turf. It's a long way to go. This meeting that we have held was to highlight also particularly most of those things regarding fixtures, regarding the traveling, regarding the preparedness and the readiness of football. So it is an engagement, one that is necessary for us to have, and one that we need to ultimately continuously have even after football has commenced.
Trout, however, said the league fixtures have been given to the different football clubs but could not be revealed to the media yet.
That's all the sport news we had for you. Please stay tuned for the weather forecast. We have come to the end of tonight's edition of News on One. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. From me, Tonata Kavila, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Thank you for watching this show on One Africa. Because you are part of our One family, your voice is very important to us. Please take a moment to rate this show by scanning the QR code on your screen now, and you can stand a chance to win fantastic prizes every month. T's and C's apply.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to Careers Bistro. My name is Wetimwene Shikare, and I'll be leading you throughout this amazing show where we get to speak to some of the amazing profiles that are in our Careers Hub publication for this week. Now, stay tuned for the following as we have an interview with Mr. Musha, who is the CEO of Meetgo. We'll also dive a little bit into career motivation and the company profile for this week, Clicks. We also do have a new segment that will tell you a little bit about the things that happened throughout the corporate world, and some Career VX news. Welcome back, viewers, and as you can see in studio today, we are joined by Mr. Musho. He is the CEO of Meatco Namibia. He will be telling us a little bit more about his career and what exactly he gets up to on a daily basis. I hope you're excited as I am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
We are so pleased to have you today, and as you know, Mr. Musho was profiled in our Careers Hub publication on our front page, and we read a little bit about him, but let's get to know you a little bit better with our visuals today. So can you tell us a little bit about your job and what it entails?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much to the viewers. Yeah. I operate in the agricultural sector. I operate in the subsector of the meat industry, working for the Meat Corporation of Namibia, in short called Meatco. I work there as a CEO. Generally, the agricultural sector is such a very exciting sector, and I'm glad that I'm part of a generation that is looking at how we can bring about food and nutritional security. A generation that is driving agripreneurship. Agriculture is not like any other sector. It's a unique sector because it is a backbone of the Namibian economy. I mean, we have 2.5 million people in this country, and more than 70% of our populace subsists indirectly or directly on agriculture for a livelihood. So having Meatco in the industry, of which its primary role is to stabilize the industry, to maximize return for the producers. So Meatco is a catalyst of change because it is there to maximize producer return. It is there to generate revenue for the country because we export beef into, advanced and emerging markets, the US, Europe, and China. And we actually the only commercial public enterprise within the developing space within Africa that is actually competitively competing with emerging and advanced economies. And we are doing extremely very well. Wow. So being Meatco CEO, CEOship entails strategic thinking, strategic management, strategic leadership. It entails providing long-term thinking to the agricultural sector and to the entity. Very cardinal in this process is to make sure that you are able to have a long-range view, long-range thinking, a blueprint about where you are taking the organization 30 years' time from now. You should be asking yourself very critical questions whereby, where do you want the organization to be a century from now when you are no more? That's a very critical question. So you set up systems, processes, governance systems and processes in the organization to make sure that you build a leaner, dynamically capable firm or commercial public enterprise that is competitive, that is profitable, and that is sustainable. And that's the institution that you need to build as a CEO. And that's the Meatco that we are busy reconfiguring. And so as CEO, you basically do that. There's a lot of stakeholder management involved in there. There's a lot of human resource management. There's a lot of legal. There's a lot of IT digitalization that you are driving as CEO. There's a lot of stakeholders, farmers, producers across the value chain. You are into the agro processing. You are into logistics. So you need to have a holistic view.
Very insightful indeed. It helps us to understand what exactly you get up to on a daily basis. But let's understand, how do you handle all of this? You mentioned so many things that you have to do and to handle on a daily basis, or that you are responsible for. How do you manage to handle this as pressure comes?
You see, as a young person growing up, you would pursue a first degree. In most cases, like in my case, I pursued agricultural studies.
Okay.
Now, this is a specialized discipline. So you would specialize as an agronomy, food science, agri-engineering, animal science, or you study veterinary science. So you come out as a subject matter specialist. But as you grow up in your career, you need to pursue management studies or managerial studies. Most of us would do MBAs, you would study corporate strategy, you would study management, you would study leadership, and so forth. So this basically builds your dynamic capability as a leader to be able to have a big view in an organization. So to answer your question, of course, very important for a CEO, your primary responsibility is to utilize subject matter specialists to work for you, to work for the company, so that you are able to achieve long-term objectives. We have got a CEO on our organogram, and under that, you basically get the CFO that drives finance and business in the organization.
Yes.
Who will be a CA with a background in financial management. Then I have got an executive strategy and business development that basically drives strategy and business development in the organization. In our context, this is somebody with a master's degree in the agricultural economics.
Okay.
And then you do have a manager that drives IT in the organization, information technology. So this is the person that drives automation, artificial intelligence, digitalization in the organization. Then you would also have a lawyer that drives your governance, corporate governance in the organization, who deals with legal issues and board governance and secretarial work. You would also have a corporate communicationist that deals with brand management and corporate communication in the organization. So you have these, you would also have a food scientist, the guy that are dealing with your quality assurance, compliance, and food safety issues. So you have a team of subject matter specialists whose knowledge, expertise, and skills as a CEO you are tasked to mine so that you are able to ultimately steer the organization into the direction in which you are taking to. In the context of MITCO, for us, we are building an organization, a firm that should create wealth for all Namibians through maximizing return. So you need all these intellectuals, all these walking encyclopedias to make sure they bring their best. You need to make sure that you energize them. You create a climate in which they are inspired, they feel at home, they want to bring their best to the table. Because ultimately, it influences organizational performance. So that's what you do on a daily basis.
Yes, definitely. And I think when you speak about bringing the best out of those that you work with in a team, I think we can now dive into the many accomplishments that you have managed to see or to, identify in your time as CEO. What are those achievements and accomplishments that you can highlight for today?
You see, very important was we needed to build a MITCO that is leaner, that is agile, that is dynamic, a MITCO that is competitive as per the demands of the 21st century. A MITCO that exhibits attributes of a commercial public enterprise that is post-independence. That's the MITCO we needed to build.
Yes.
So we first decided by coming up with a long-term strategy. And our focus area in that long-term strategy was to make sure that, number one, we are competitive, we are profitable, and we are sustainable. And once we get this right, ultimately, we know that we are able to create a firm that would sustainably create wealth for all Namibians. Some of the key achievements is we were hit by the drought, 2019-2020, and that drought basically halved the national herds in the country. Now, MITCO is about throughput. It's about bringing cattle into the abattoir. Now, when you are hit by the drought, basically, the number of cattle you get access to are less. So we had to make sure that we align the institution for the past 2 years to the throughput that is available to the raw material. That is number one. Number two, more than ever before, we have managed to make sure that we have opened up new markets. We can now export to some of the most strictest markets in the world, like China. Not everybody else exports to China, but MITCO do. And the reason why MITCO is able to export to China is because of the revamped infrastructure, the revamped strategy, the revamped soft and hardcore infrastructure we have in the organization, the organizational culture, the young people, the energy that we have brought in, the professionals we have injected into the organization. So that has helped us to make sure that we are able to basically, number one, remain in our traditional markets, such as, for example, Europe, but also penetrating both the US and China. This is something extremely unique, and for me, and for us as an institution, it's a big achievement. Because I'm glad today to say that we are able to sell products from the NCA into the southern part of the country. So we have expanded that market because of the new system we have put in place. There's what we call commodity-based trade, which is actually approved by the OIE that we are operationalizing. As I'm talking to you now, the first container has arrived in Ghana in West Africa. This has never happened before in the past 32 years. So these are new developments, new innovation, new markets that we are driving as an institution. So
Congratulations for that. I think we've gotten to know so much about Midco and exactly what it is that you're busy with and the projects that you're spearheading. But let's get to know a little bit about you. So what are the things that you love to do when time takes off for you, just before we close?
Thank you so much. I love reading. Reading is very important for me. It's a source that nourishes my soul, my mind. It gives me new energy. It gives me new perspective. That's very important. So I read a lot. I just finished reading a book recently that talks about Singapore, from the third world to the first world. The transformation of Singapore, I find it very inspirational. I read a lot about Frantz Fanon. I read a lot on leadership, on management, on agripreneurship, on new business developments. In my spare time, I also spend time, listening to news, catching up with what's happening, in Ukraine and Russia, the impact of that on the agriculture sector, and how do we strategically prepare ourselves to that. So I enjoy reading. I exercise a lot. I go running. I do that a lot. But I also spend time, just being with the family at home. It also energizes me. And just catching up with friends. So that's what I do in my own spare time.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. But guys, we've come to the end of this interview with Mr. Musho from Midco, and we hope that you've gotten so much information and insight of what the company does and what he does as the CEO. Stay tuned for the career motivation.
Hello? 500 gram Spa margarine break for just $19.99. Wow. And Spa 2-ply toilet rolls, 18s for $89.99. I'm done.
It's the Spa Products Best for Less sale, only at Spa.
Crazy! All 64 games live on GoTV Super. Get a Go Coder and 1 month of GoTV Super for only $449 NAM. That's crazy. GoTV. Love it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of News on One Weekly.
So, rabies is a virus, scientifically known as a Lassa virus. It attacks the nerves, and that is why it goes to the brain.
In 2013, when I diagnosed with breast cancer stage 3.
Cancer is abnormal growth of cells in your body.
Alcohol causes cancer, and cancer is one of the highest diseases in Namibia.
Hi, my name is Johannes Levititis. I was born and raised in Windhoek. I got into cooking at a very young age. I was working at various places. Actually, I didn't start in the cooking industry. Immediately, I was a packer first. I was working in the retail business at Brock, and from there they put me in. That's where I actually started working in the kitchen, but it was like KFC. It was cheeky by then, but they closed now. So from there, I worked my way up to Panarottis as a pizza boy, and from there I worked at Colcaccio. That was the first time working in a restaurant setup where I actually got to know how to work on the floor, where I was a waiter, and then I used to go into the kitchen and see how they do the things and stuff. Yeah, so from there it was not long, because I usually had a client that came, which was the usual. It was a white lady called Michelle. She actually jogged the website down for me, where she told me, no, listen, you have a lot of potential, the way you interact with people and work with people and stuff. You should actually go check out this school called Silver Spoon. So it took me a while to actually have time to look it up on the internet, and eventually I did. And then I saw that it was a school, a culinary arts school at Southern Industry, the all power station. Yes, so I made a turn there and asked a little bit how it works, how to start, and so forth. And where they told me actually for to eventually to go for a diploma course. You have to sacrifice and leave the job because it's a full-time thing, where I didn't have enough funds. And I told them my background, because I come from a very poor background growing up. My dad was a security, and my mom was a domestic worker. And so financially we weren't unstable. And eventually I told them my story at the school, because I went in for an interview and they said, no, I have potential and I can actually start, whereby I did. And then I had the 2-year course there, and that's where I actually started going for a lot of competition, because my first competition was the junior chef at Silver Spoon, where it was, which was in 2017, which the school actually registered me to the Namibian Chefs Association in 2017. That's where I actually first won my gold medal, which I fast forward eventually found out that it was actually my principal, Mr. Tom Mutavchik, that actually paid for the whole course. But they never told me until I completed my course. So while I was still in school, I had 3 competitions, 2017, 18, and 19, which I consecutively won. But then only one that I came a runner-up, second place, which was in 2018. Yeah. And I also had a competition at the Cultural Fest. I don't remember which year it was, a year from now or 2 years back, which I also won. And now the Kapana competition, which I won this year.
You would not guess who our company profile for this week is. Well, we've profiled Clicks Namibia, as they've come on board to share with us what exactly the store and the retail outlet is all about. With 24 stores in Namibia, let's get to see what they are up to. Retail-led company Clicks owns 24 stores in Namibia. There are about 800 stores in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Swaziland, and Lesotho. The company provides goods in beauty, healthcare, personal care, babies, home, and electrical hardware. The beauty section has products for glam, face, nails, and overall beauty treatment highly recognized within the company. The store also captures major perfume brands such as Hugo Boss, Paco Rabanne as fragrances. The Body Shop is known as an in-house beauty and body shop. This is a brand that only exists in Clicks, with a wide range of products that aim for the body. Great ranges of body protein can also be found in store in forms of shakes, with Clicks owned protein brands with private labels. Amongst others are GNC, which is another renowned and recognized brand in store. Additionally, health foods are a great part of retail for Clicks brought to the market. Included in these health foods are some of the great powders that are considered essential for human beings. Vitamins and supplements are seen in a huge range with a private label which is known as Essentials. Other vitamin supplements also include brands such as Vital, The home section comprises of goods and equipment that can help you to start your home just right, with lunchboxes, containers, and bottles. The baby section comprises of nappies and other baby equipment, even including clothing. Some of these major brands such as Nan, Nestle, and others find their space in Clicks shelves with great improvement. Dry Protect is a Clicks known brand for babies' nappies. Additionally, there are other goods and appliances that are used for babies. Country Manager of Clicks in Namibia, Corneille Visser, says the baby's clothing line has been greatly received within the company, even when they have implemented other brands into the baby section of Clicks. The personal care category consists of products such as body washes, body fresheners, body mists, and body lotions, even more products seen and sold at Clicks stores across Namibia.
This November, Rugby Fever is in the air, and rugby enthusiasts can look forward to the Dr. Hage Geingob Cup 2022.
On the side and over the line go Belgians.
Don't miss this epic clash between the Windhoek Draft Welwitschiërs versus the Windhoek Draft Griquas from South Africa.
Aggressive stuff from the Windhoek Draft Griquas.
The match will take place on the 5th of November at 4 p.m, so make sure to tune in to watch the showdown live on One Africa. Proudly brought to you by MTC, Windhoek Draft, and Bank Windhoek.
great deals from